still finding the accommodation was something, it was difficult. I was looking for something that wasn't clinical, that wasn't full of hoists, that didn't make me think about being in hospital. Having been in hospital a lot, I didn't want to be back in that type of environment. I wanted somewhere welcoming but accessible. And finding Mill Meadow was a dream come true. It seemed perfect when you first look at something in the video and the description. It seemed perfect, but it was only when I actually spoke to Suzanne and Chris, the hosts of the whole organisation, that I realised that it was going to be perfect, and that there were things that they were going to be able to do to make it perfect, to make it safe, and the contact I had with them all the way through was just, I have never experienced such a high level of customer service in my life of being able-bodied and disabled. Right round to the very last day when we were on our way down, let me know when you're half an hour away and we'll make sure everything's fine. Everything was beyond perfect. So I think that's probably, before I even arrived, I knew it was going to be the right place to be. And arriving, well, I can't even explain the pleasure involved in actually the ramping and the size of the doors and being able to get inside without smashing into bits of furniture and all the things that people who aren't in a wheelchair would just not really be aware of. And everything, really. Do you think that...
Yeah, it was everything, and it was, I think you felt, the big thing was you felt safe. Suzanne had made you feel safe, I think, with her contact.
Feeling there's a vulnerability attached to being disabled, regardless. There are lots and lots of levels of disability, as we all know. There are some very, very seriously ill people who need constant care. There are some people who have mental issues where they need constant care, but there's also independent disabled people like myself, where I'm maybe in a wheelchair, not going to be able to walk, but I still want to be out there and living my life independently and avoiding the carer situation. Whilst I've got my friend here and we've come away and are enjoying every moment, I'm also the sort of person who wants to go somewhere on their own. Yeah. Just being disabled doesn't stop you from wanting to be out there and doing things by yourself. Having a feeling of independence is almost
priceless.
Yeah, priceless, because there's no reason why being in a wheelchair should stop you from doing anything. But often what does stop you from doing anything is not being able to find somewhere to stay. Staying somewhere that allows you to be independent but have a little bit of a support network behind you if necessary, I don't think I've ever found that before. And certainly with Chris and Suzanne, I know that if I were to come here by myself, I wouldn't be in any way worried about asking them for help, regardless of how small the issue was. They've made everything so easy, simple and pleasurable that I don't think I'd ever be frightened. And I will certainly come on my own. I would also come with, I have friends who are in wheelchairs, I have friends who are disabled, who are amputees. I would also have no hesitation in bringing my friends with me as well to make it as special as possible for everybody. It's a perfect place to be.
And I think it's the doing something normal in an abnormal world for
Very
you.
good, yes. There's a lot to be said for feeling that you're not. It's quite often, in a wheelchair particularly, you feel that you're a bit of a burden on society because you need things slightly different. You need things to be level, you need ramps, you need flat bits, you need things that, that are slightly different. And sometimes when you're going to stay in places, hotels are a really good example. A hotel will advertise itself as being accessible, and that what they really mean is that they may have, by the toilet, they may have, a rail. It doesn't necessarily mean the whole place is accessible. It means that they've covered themselves by making it. And this is a completely different thing. This whole place is accessible. And the other really nice thing is that if you're here on your own in a wheelchair or with a partner in a wheelchair, so you've got 2 wheelchair users perhaps, you only need to use downstairs. So then you don't need to use the upstairs. The upstairs obviously we're not going to be able to get up to, and it means that there's a price reduction involved in that, which makes a difference as well, because it makes you feel that you're actually being considered. We're not going to use upstairs, so why should we have to pay for upstairs? And that's made a big difference as well. The thought that the thought process that they've put into that, so that we don't have to pay for the whole house, has made a big difference. It makes you feel that you're thought of. Using the hot tub was another example, making sure that the steps were in a place that was easy for me to access, and knowing if I came on my own that Chris and Suzanne would help me open it up when I wanted to use it and close it down again, which on its own is something that makes you feel that you're valued as somebody who's staying in their accommodation. It's almost like a family environment rather than an accommodation. I feel
a home from home.
Yeah, I feel like I belong as a sort of.
And listened to.
Yes.
When you've had little things, just simple something like the light, the outside light.
Yes, the outside light that was the sensor for the outside light was high, so every time I went past the outside light on the first night, it didn't come on.
She kept saying to me, "There's no outside light." I said, "Don't be silly. There's a light there, for heaven's sake." And of course, I walked out, and it just came on.
So we mentioned it to Chris, and he came along and readjusted it.
You need to go down.
And so now he's done it so that we can turn it on when we're in the hot tub and things like that, so that it's an obvious thing, but when you're down here, you can't see the sensor, so it didn't cross my mind that I needed to change the sensor.
But that's being listened to.
Yes.
And heard.
Yes, and we've just had an idea about, if I were again on my own, trying to get into the utility room, which is around the corner, because there's a step to get up to the utility room, which for me would be completely useless. When I have Sam here, it's fine because she can obviously do that sort of thing. And so now Chris is already is arranging to change the ramping system and the decking so that somebody on their own in a wheelchair can use the utility room, can use it as it's supposed to be used, and change the decking in general. So by next year, I think it'll be an even better place to be in a wheelchair. It'll be absolutely perfect. Changing the gate to the there's a beautiful lake, and it is the most relaxing place I think I've sat in for a long time. But getting to the lake is difficult because of the gate, and the gate opens outwards. So if you're in a wheelchair, you've got to open the gate and then reverse, and there's a little bit of a slope. And it's a difficult thing, as again with Sam it was fine, but he's now going to look at changing the gate so that it opens in a different way, so I could be able to do it by myself. So just the fact that everything I've mentioned has been listened to, taken on board, makes you feel it is huge. It's massive. So it's a place that somebody with any sort of disability, be it any level of disability, you can come with your carers and be looked after. There's things that they can get in to help you if you needed a hoist. They can hire hoists, and they would hire hoists. They would do anything to make it better for your stay. But also, as somebody who is independently disabled, it's a safe, secure, and very, very welcoming place to be.
Amazing. And don't forget your massage.
Must mention massage. There's a lady called Elaine who will come into the accommodation and supply any form of massage, pedicure, manicure, or anything, which I don't think I've ever experienced anywhere else either. The fact that she comes in and it's a warm, cosy environment. You don't have to leave the building. You don't have to run around anywhere. It's just perfect, absolutely perfect. I can't imagine ever wanting to spend my time anywhere else now.